Hello, everyone. Guess who's back? Okay, this is Bernadette, the San Diego medium, coming at you from Southern California. This is my another new audio. I would say an audio program, which is like something I just created on my own. It's no type of network. It's just something I'm creating and posting. Okay, so previously in one of my videos that you were able to see my face, I had mentioned something about UFOs. Um, I have my own group in Facebook, and it's called Psychic Abilities, Spirit Messages, and Mediumship. This particular group is more or less kind of like a get together where we all can get together and learn, expand our self discovery. We have all different levels here in the group. We have some that are like beginners. We have some that have no idea but is curious and wants to learn and educate of this whole metaphysic thing. Also, we have some people that are seasoned readers that have read other people. Um, it's just kind of like a mixed bag. It's like a melting pot of every type of person in there. Okay, regardless of their backgrounds or anything. The cool thing I like about this group is that we're all equal. We're all human. We're all equal, but there are different levels of spirituality. There, like I said, we have different levels of people that are learning, right? So we have some, like I said, that are curious and have no idea. They want to educate themselves. It's kind of, maybe they don't want to do any spirit work, but they're just curious about what this is all about. Well, what's clairvoyance and what's clear hearing and clear smelling and what is all that, So that the group is all about, to learn and educate, and if you feel like you're drawn, you want to expand a little further, we can do that too. So it's a mixed bag of everything. So anyway, in one of my videos, I was talking about, the whole purpose of mentioning this group is that you're able to add chat features. So I've had like 3 different chats. I got one for psychic abilities, people who want to discuss their experiences, maybe amongst their peers, and then maybe they have a question, um, and they just want to post it, or maybe they have thoughts or an opinion they want to share with everybody in this chat feature within the group. And then I have a second one that I created was like the phenomenon, like ghost hunting and things like that. People who are investigators, that goes to these sites and investigate ghosts or apparitions and validation of energy and with their devices and all that stuff. Evidence of afterlife. And then the other one I just recently started, I think a couple of days ago, was UFO and Stranger Things. That's what it is. That's what I call it. UFO and Stranger Things. Because, you just don't want to narrow it down to UFO, but you want to also talk about other things. Maybe somebody wants to bring up superstitions kind of things, or maybe somebody wants to bring up some type of folklore or mystical, things like that. So that was the new one I just created, and that was the UFO and Stranger Things. So I had mentioned in one of the videos that I created was that I was going to talk about that. I was going to talk about the UFO thing. So this is going to be like a throwback of my experience of UFOs. And I'm also going to share with you things that I have learned and things that I was told and the, you know, thing. I was very young when this happened. So I know for some people, if somebody was young and have the experience with UFO, they'd probably like be terrified, right? But um, and just for the record, I did not meet him face to face, okay? And I wasn't abducted. All right, just want to clarify that. That was I wasn't abducted or seen them, face to face. But I do have some type of an experience with the UFO per se. So I'm going to talk about that. And again, when I was young, I said before, I experienced a lot of crazy stuff. And, uh, like today, things that are happening a lot more, that's more more noticeable and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, that happened to me like 40 years ago, when I was a kid. So I mean, I've already been there, done that already. So I've already experienced similar things. But anyway, going back to my childhood and my experience, um, I must have been about, I don't know, maybe about 10. Well, let me think, maybe younger than that one. Maybe I was about 8, 7 or 8. I knew it wasn't very. I knew it wasn't in my teens yet. I was still under my teens, so I'm gonna have to say between 5 and 8, 5 and 8. But I want to say a little older than that, maybe like between 6 years old and 8 years old. I want to, and and this all happened in broad daylight. My experience. So, uh, h- how it all started was that I was in like a normal day and everything. It wasn't too dark or anything. I think it was like maybe, I know I was home. I wasn't at school or anything. So maybe it was either after school, and I think school ended like about 3 o'clock. So I was already home between 3:30 and 4, so it wasn't dark. And then if it was a weekend, it would be like noonish. So, because like I said, from what I remember, that it was daylight, and it didn't feel, and I don't recall if it was like late, like going into dusk, or if it was just like afternoon. So if it was an afternoon, it'd have to be a weekend, because it wouldn't be a school week. Because if it was school, then it would be like towards dinner time. And I think we ate like about between 4 and 5. So might have been a weekend. I don't know. But anyway, let's get to the story, right? So I remember I was in my room, and the way my bedroom is situated at that time, his huge. It's like a big window, and it faced outside the street, the front of the house. So my bedroom was actually the first bedroom that's in front of the house. And then it's a 3 bedroom house. So my bedroom was in front of the house. And then the 2 other bedrooms was like the back of the house. Like my mom and dad's bedroom was like in the back corner. Um, and then my 2 brothers' bedroom was on the opposite side of my room in the back. So my room was faced front, and and if I were to look outside, I could see everything. I can see the streets, the pole lights, and on a clear day, you can see far beyond, far beyond that. Um, okay, so and then also we did have like some planes going over over not over our house, but like by our house. So we would sometimes we would see the shadow, you know what I mean, like the airplane um, going across the sun, kind of blocking it a little bit, and then because you would notice the plane would come and block the sun that where we're at, and it'd be like a shade, and then and then like about a minute or two later, it's like daylight again. The shade's gone. Okay, so that's what helped me know that there was a plane that's going over, going past in the sun. Because we were getting that little spot shade. It was kind of a weird experience to see that. You're looking up like, okay, I'm not under a tree or anything like that. And all of a sudden you look up and it's like a shade. And and then the next thing you know, it's like bright again. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm in my room and I'm looking out. And it's during the day. And then I don't know what made me to want to look out the front of my window. I was just standing there. My curtains are open, everything, uh, and I don't recall if my window was open or closed, but I just remember that my curtains were open wide so I can see everything in front of me. And so, and then I just kind of like happened to look up, and then far beyond in the sky, I took a quick glance and I'm like, wait, that does not look like an airplane. And I'm looking at it and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, this thing is not moving. It's just like it's just sitting there in the air. And it wasn't close to me. It wasn't close to home or anything. It was far, far away. And if and because of the way the sun was shining onto this, uh, I would say aircraft, you can see what it looked like, what the shape was. It didn't give off any type of like a reflection or anything like that, but because it looked like it was a matte finish. It wasn't glossy, it wasn't shiny or anything. It was like a matte finish. Kind of like a brush nickel that's matte finish. Okay, of like a silver color. And I looked at it and I'm like, why is that just standing still in the sky? I was just like curious looking at it, and it didn't move for a while. And then I just like trying to like analyze it, look at it, seeing if I can look at the details, and just like, what am I looking at? This is all going through my head. I'm not talking out loud about it. And I'm just like tilting my head from side to side. I'm like, what? What is that? You just trying to kind of make sense of it, and then like, wow, it's not moving. It's not, if it's a plane, it's got to continue to move, right? And it wasn't not a shape of any plane or a helicopter or anything like that. Drones were a big thing back then. So it wasn't a helicopter, and then you can tell if it was a helicopter or a plane because they had those flashing lights either on the tail or underneath his wings and stuff. There was nothing. There was no light or anything, and it was just there. It didn't move. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, I said, you know what? This looks like a spaceship. I'm looking at a spaceship, and and I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to like, um, I wouldn't say absorb this image, but kind of like trying to look at the details of this spaceship. I can see the shape of what it looked like from afar, okay. And then I that's another thing I noticed, that the sun, it was daylight, and I noticed that there was no type of reflection because everything was like a matte finish. So there was no reflection. You just saw it there. And I was just like, okay. And then after a while, it's like, and I'm thinking, I know I'm not the only one looking at this. And I was like, I can't be the only one looking at this. So what I did is I immediately turned on the radio station. I have the radio in my room. And when I turned the radio station on, I think it was, I don't know if anybody here in California remember, but it was a Q106. Back then, I used to listen to Q106. It played a lot of pop music, like a contemporary, a different mix of everything. But it was like today's pop music back then, Q106. And I'm like, I wonder, and I wanted to turn the radio on and see if anybody reported that they saw what they're seeing, what I'm seeing, and it, that's over where the spaceship is hovering over, right? So, because it's not close to my house, but it's over somebody's house. I know you guys are wondering, thinking, how far is it? How far is it from my house? Let me see. If you can think, mm, because the spaceship was huge, so I can assume it's huge because I was able to see it, even it was far, and I can actually see that it's like a disc, round type spaceship. It wasn't any shape of that I can identify, like if it, like a plane or helicopter or anything, because it would be moving and it would have like little lights flashing. I didn't see any of that. So the distance, I would say, um, how can I make an example? Hmm. Okay, where I lived was in South Bay at that time. So, estimate of where that spaceship would be hovering over, I would say, huh, might even be where I'm at now, Mission Valley, um, or maybe even further up, maybe towards Fashion Valley area. So from my house to Fashion Valley, from my old where I used to live, to Fashion Valley is probably what, like about 15-20 minutes distance. So I don't know if you can kind of figure that out distance wise. Um, I mean, it was, and when I saw it, it I knew it was huge because I was able to see it, and if it was to be over, if it was to come over our house, it would probably cover, I would say maybe, I want to say maybe about, I keep hearing 10 blocks, but I don't know if it's going to be 10 blocks radius. I would say maybe six blocks radius around. That's okay. So that's how big it. That's how big I'm assuming it is. How large it was, because like I said, I was able to see it up in the sky, and the sky was clear. There was not a cloud in the sky. It was clear. It was daylight. When I was looking out front, the sun, I didn't see the sun. So the sun was probably behind me or the side, but behind the house at that time. So let's see. If east west, okay. So if I'm standing it and I'm looking, so if from my house to Fashion Valley, that will be going north. So it'd be going north because I lived in the south part. So it'd be going north, and I don't know. Um, it was huge. It was like it was like right over Mission. It could be Mission Valley or Fashion Valley, very high up up in the distance. Um, might even be a little closer. It might be over towards let me see, what's the next street over? I mean, the next city would be uh let me think. Well, North Park, I guess. That would probably be North Park. So from my house to North Park would probably be like about 10 minutes, a 10 minute drive. Yeah, probably 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. So that was my experience. That's what I saw up in the sky. Oh, so when I did turn on the radio to see if anybody reported, because I was thinking about reporting it. I mean, even this kid, I'm like, I gotta tell somebody. So I'm like, well, maybe somebody already called, an adult person or something. So I went ahead and turned on the radio, Q106. And sure enough, they mentioned something about, hey, like in between commercials and the song, they're saying, oh, there's this, getting a lot of reports about a UFO sighting, spaceship aircraft and such. And, you know, um, so I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one that's seen it. So, I don't think I don't remember if I mentioned it to my parents, but I know I did mention it to one of my friends. Actually, he was my brother's friend. He was one of my brother's best friends. I don't know how it came up, but I told him, I said, I saw a UFO up in the sky, and then he kind of looked at me funny, like I was crazy. He goes, really? And I'm like, yeah, and it was crazy. And I told him, yeah, and then I turned it on the radio, and they had several reports on that. I don't remember if they mentioned it on the news. I mean, me being a kid, I don't watch the news. Okay, um, so that was interesting. So and then I'm thinking back, when I mentioned about UFOs when I was a kid, that now they're kind of like reflecting. Hello, got to listen to these kids. They're telling the truth. So that was my experience of a UFO sighting. I had a UFO sighting, and then after that, I didn't have any other UFO sightings after that. I No visitations or anything like that. But one thing I later, as I got older, actually when I started embracing, mm, I wouldn't say embracing, I would, because I already knew it. I knew I had these abilities, just that I didn't know how to work with them at that time. Um, so when I'm going through with this self discovery and stuff, and there was a lot of topics that I had from my past, and then I consulted with my spirit teachers and my angels and my guides and all that, asking all these questions. I wanted to find out. from my kids to get some answers, right? Um, so that was one of the questions I had asked a spirit. Anybody on the other side who wanted to answer this question, because I I just didn't understand why was I able, why did this UFO come down? What was the purpose? And then it was being there were being more and more UFO sightings over the years, right? So, and for a while the government has been keeping it quiet and making a lot of excuses because they didn't want to frighten I guess, the American people. But that was one of the questions I asked the spirit beings on the other side. It's like, okay, what's the deal with this UFO? Um, and they told me that the reason why they're showing up more here is because there's a certain race, like a UFO race, a certain particular race is dying. So they're trying to find ways to, I wouldn't say, to it's for some reason it's like they have it's like they're procreating. I don't know if it's not quick enough or something's going on in their world that's prevent, that maybe there's something going on that the particular their culture is dying out and they're trying to continue this legacy of them. But that was the reason why they would come down here to learn about us, because they know our bodies can give life. We can, we for the women, it can carry a child. So they're very fascinated with the human body, and so they come and they learn about the biologics of our body, and because their culture, this particular culture, I mean, because this was really mind blowing when they were telling me this, because I had to tell them, hey, wait a minute, time out, time out. Time out, you guys are going over my head right now. Can we do this in pieces? Okay, so they were they were giving me pieces and pieces in it, because I mean, it was just mind blowing, the whole thing. So I'm trying to kind of like put all these pieces together, so in layman terms, so you can understand what they're talking about, the spirit beings, and talking about the UFO cultures. Um, and from what I understood is that there are different alien cultures. Just like here on Earth, we have different cultures. Like we have people from different backgrounds, right? So, but we have different cultures as far as DNA wise. That's why you have different blood types, right? So each type of blood type represent a certain DNA culture. Okay, so what's happening is that this it's the same thing with the aliens. The aliens have their own culture. Now, if you recall that some of the aliens back, I think they have these alien experts and stuff that write books about the grays, the different aliens that they call them the grays, and some of them have different color skin, or maybe their eyes are different, or some don't have mouths, they just have like a little slit, you know what I'm saying? So those are their different cultures of them, because they're different. I mean, they're all aliens because they're foreign to us, right? but the aliens have their own culture, just like we do, and they're different. Some of them, and I think one of the UFO experts talks about the grays are more aggressive, and then there's some aliens that more friendly, So it's like I said, you have to kind of understand it in a way of it's like us, because we have people that are evil, and then we have people that are nice, and then we have different DNA, blood types, you know that uh, that identifies us as like our chromosomes X and Y's and stuff like that, the biological stuff, similar to the aliens, but they're different, and they're more advanced. Um, so that's what's happening. That's why you're hearing a lot of visitations of UFOs. They're coming down here, and they're different. Some of them come because they're curious. They want to interact with us. Okay, they want to interact with us. They find us fascinating, and different, and so they want to learn from us, and they want to learn how I'll react to them. How do we communicate? How do we communicate, or do we know how to communicate with them? Okay, so uh, so that's one thing. That was one of the questions, but there were other stuff that came along with that. I might have to do a session with this, like a whole session further, because I can't fit it all in this one audio, because there's so much information that they gave me about it. But this is the thing that I had learned about it, and and then I hear this talk. A lot of these people are saying, "Well, the aliens gonna take over the world, and they're gonna kill us." And I'm like, you know what? The aliens are so advanced, so beyond our us, as far as comprehension, education, technology, and everything. If they wanted to take over this planet, they could do that in a heartbeat. And they're not doing that. They know that they can do that, but they're not going to do that. Okay? So you guys need to stop thinking that they're going to take over the world. They're not going to do that. They want to these alien beings want to learn. They want to learn from us, about us, and they also want us to learn about them. So when they come here and they get sightings, or like if the government, like what do these guys have, these photos of them, that TikTok photo and all that, that's all part of interaction with the human beings. Okay, that's interaction. All right, that's not an invasion. That's an interaction. They interacting with human beings. Okay, so um, it's I'm telling you, it's it's like it's very deep subject, and it took a while for me to wrap my head around over this, because, like I said, I had to tell spirits, like, wait, whoa, 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 time out, okay? You are just you got to give me some time to, like, let this soak in my brain a little bit, so I can kind of like understand it, because it's like going over my head, and it sounds pretty crazy. But that was like back then, when I was just doing my self discovery, right? And I'm communicating with my guides, my spirit guides, my spirit teachers, my angels, and all that, and they were supporting me on my walk, my spirit walk. And like I said, I had all these questions prior growing up, my childhood. So I'm pretty sure they knew that it was going to come up because you know, I was curious. That's just me. I mean, I it was like a question all my childhood. Like why are they here? What are they doing here? So, um they told me. I'm like, "Okay." So and so that was my experience seeing an spacecraft. That was my first time seeing. Like I said, I haven't seen it after that, and then I haven't had any physical encounters with the alien beings or anything like that. Um, but I just observe like how so much more that the UFO, I would say UFO alien communities are coming. Um, interacting with the human race. Okay, so keep in mind it's not an invasion; it is interacting. This is how they interact with human beings. Okay. Um, yes, there are some aggressive aliens and stuff like that, but um, I'm told that there's a way that you can talk to them. I know that this thing about tele, through the mind and everything, but you can actually talk. You can actually talk, and they can hear you, and they can sense your vibration. But when they respond, they'll respond through telepathically, you know, or you can hear them, even though you don't see their mouth moving, but you can hear them. Okay, so that's they they have the alien beings also have energy. Okay, they're they're beings and they're they're aliens, they're alien beings, then they also have their own energy frequency. Okay. So, that's what I wanted to share, and all that little thing after that was an extra. But yeah, I should give a lecture class on just the UFO thing itself, and it's quite, like I said, it's very interesting. Um, uh, of what they told me, and I told them you need to give it to me slow and very, very easy to understand because it's just, it was kind of mind blowing. It was just like I was, I had to think of it twice, three times, four times before I can wrap my head around and make sense of it. So, and then over time, I had a better understanding of what Spirit was talking about when they were talking about the UFOs, alien beings, their purpose, why they're here, and things like that. And are they always going to be here? They're always going to interact with the human race. Always. I mean, there's no way about because, like I said, they're learning, um, and they they like actually they like to interact with the human race. Okay, and so that's that's what I wanted to share. Oh, okay. So anyway, so that's that. Like I said, I was like about between 6 and 8 years old at that time, and I saw that. And the Q-106 said that there were several reports of alien aircraft hovering over in that location. I'm trying to remember where they said it was, but when I looked up there, it looked like it was like Mission Valley area in part of San Diego or Fashion Valley. With a spacecraft that large, and you can see it from a distance. That's that's pretty actually that's pretty close to home. If it was to be at Mission Valley, if it was at Mission Valley, that's a large aircraft. It could have been a mother aircraft, I don't know, but it was huge. To think I was able to see it far off in the distance, and see it was actual UFO, because like I kept looking and looking up, like, when is that thing gonna move? And it just didn't move. It stayed there for like about 2-3 minutes. And then when I went to turn on the radio and I went back to look out in the window, it was gone. So, and it didn't leave any smoke trace or nothing, like a cloud of smoke or anything. It was just gone, disappeared. Actually, I think probably what happened is that it just did a deflection. It hit itself. That is how advanced they are. That they are able to be in the spot and deflect themselves. There's craft, there's spray craft. They can hide themselves. That is how their technology is. That's how advanced their technology. And I saw on TV a while back that there was, I guess there was a crash, right? There was a UFO crash. I guess they were saying it was Roswell, but I don't remember. I think it was like maybe New Mexico or something. And there were debris of this crash. So somebody had picked up one of the aircraft pieces or something, and they looked at it and it had all these little weird lines and hieroglyphic type things on it. It looked like a bar, like a bar of a band, and it had all these little symbols on it, right? And they did a testing, like metal testing and all that. The metal is some parts of it was known that was earth. It was part of earth, but the other part of the mineral, I would say, was nowhere in earth here. It was not, it was the system cannot identify what this metal was. So that tells you that yes, they're using some of our metal, materials from the earth and intermixing with their minerals or metals of where they're from, and it created a spacecraft. Okay, so or maybe it's just at the beginning stages of science that we were able to identify certain metals, but we haven't identified this one missing metal yet. So, so that their technology is far, far advanced than what we got going on here. I mean, we are so behind as far as alien technology. So I would not be surprised if a lot more aircrafts are here, but undetected because they are deflected. Okay, so they have the technology to not be in the radar. They cannot be. They can not be sensed by radar. They cannot be viewed by the eyes. All right, and they have a way of scrambling. So, I think because of their high technology knowledge is that it's scary to think, wow, they can use that to really take over our resources and just and just take over the world, right? But they know this. They know that they are advanced technology and they're not going to invade because that's not they they want to interact with human beings because they are so interested in our way of life and um how we live and how we act and how our emotions and things like that because they if they're in our presence like I know there's some people who have had these like alien visitations. They, even though they're not talking to you, but they do sense the vibration because, like I said, they're a part of energy as well. Um, I have no fear from them. I don't fear them, and they don't want us to fear them. A matter of fact, you know, that's they don't want us to be frightened. And they say, they look frightening because they don't look like us, right? In our own image, they are different, and they know that. So, so they, so they do they choose other ways of interacting with the human race. That's basically it. I'm not exactly sure if they're still doing abductions. I mean, I haven't deep dived in any of the alien things, but just basically just sharing my experience of what I saw and what I was told prior during my spirit journey, and like these questions that I had to ask. That was one of them about the UFOs. What is going on with the UFOs? All right. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this audio. Um, and if you have any UFOs experience, go ahead and pop that in the comments down below. And I guess that's gonna be it. So I'll have some more throwbacks, psychic throwbacks of my history. Um, and till then, have a great evening or day whenever you are listening to this audio. And this is Bernadette, the San Diego medium from Southern California. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye now.